Hello, everybody. It's Brian. I hope you had a good weekend. Welcome to Monday. And I have a second video on, which I guess I'll call Purge Number 2. So if you watched recently, you'll have seen a previous video that I called Purge Number 1. And I got rid of things like that were in rough shape or duplicates or things I didn't want. So that's pretty much the same thing. But I think I have more this time. Now, the good news is that I have cleared enough space on my shelves to fit everything that was on the floor. So that is done. I have one other small collection of records that I may or may not include in a future video. But this will be probably the last Purge video for a while. And let's just start with this, because in the last video I mentioned this record, John Cougar, Lonesome Jubilee, and David Atkinson suggested I give it a listen, which I tried to do. I thought I had a second copy, but as it turns out, I don't. And I guess the reason I set this aside is because it has a defect that I forgot about, and that is that there's an edge warp. So the first track on each side doesn't play. So I don't think it can be fixed. So I wasn't able to listen to, well, I could have listened to the other tracks, I suppose, but that's the reason that was in the pile, which I had forgotten about. A couple of more things that only have sleeves for, and they're in really rough shape. Now, I do have a few things that I'm getting rid of because I have better copies. So Joe Jackson's Look Sharp. I have a real, much finer copy. This is, I mean, it doesn't have an inner sleeve, but I'm sure it will play fine. John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy. It's in not the best of shape, but I have a better copy. Same is true with Tattoo You. This one is split out here. It's, the inner sleeve is okay, but it has suffered from some misuse, some abuse, and I have, as I say, a better copy, a much better copy of it. And then Rush. Unfortunately, this is warped, so I do have, as I say, a good copy of it, but it is warped, and I guess there's a way to fix those things. With glass plates and an oven or the sun or whatever. I read all those things, or buying a vinyl flat, but I think that's probably problematic to do that. Now, in the last video, I included a Roger Daltrey 12-inch single and mentioned that, I don't mind Peter Townsend's solo work, but never really was a fan of Roger Daltrey. So I decided to go ahead and eliminate my Roger Daltrey collection. So starting with, in 1977, One of the Boys. It's the back, and it has a nice, these are all in really good shape as I recall. But the funny thing is that I actually don't really remember any of these songs. So either I didn't listen to the record or I listened to it once and that was it. But, some of the tracks here he co-wrote. Some just seem to be cover versions. There's a Paul McCartney song. Just things that, I don't really remember them. So, and even the musicians, John Entwistle on bass for some tracks, Rod Argent on keyboards. So, yeah, I guess it didn't really appeal to me when I listened to it. Same is true with this record from 1985, Under a Raging Moon. Here's the back. And of course, this is where the 12-inch single that I got rid of came from, the After the Fire track written by Pete Townsend. And so Roger Daltrey has his name on a few tracks as a co-writer, but there's also a song by Russ Ballard, Bryan Adams, believe it or not. So I guess this didn't really appeal to me. Another Bryan Adams co-written track, Jim Valance. This one I think is from 84. This is Parting Should Be Painless. This one has a punch out. Don't recognize these songs either. Chris Spedding is on here. He's a really good guitarist. Roger Daltrey credited with the harmonica. I was surprised to learn that he actually can play the guitar. But, and yeah, I don't know. It just, I guess, just to repeat myself, there's a track here written by Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart. The rest of the people I don't really recognize. So, and then maybe the only Roger Daltrey record that I considered keeping was this Best Bits one, which is a comp of, I guess, some of his best stuff. And there is Free Me from Mick Vicker, Without Your Love from Mick Vicker, and then again songs that I just really struggle to remember them. And I guess I don't know what is this Power Tool theme going on here? Power Tool there, gold record, Did he have any gold records? I don't know. So Roger Daltrey. In my last video, I showed a copy of, or the last Purge video, Peter Frampton's "I'm in You," and I think it was Final Richie who said, "Well, why would you keep even?" Because I mentioned I had a second one. Why would you even keep the second one? So I think he's right. So again, I don't remember any songs on here. So yeah, I don't know. I still have a copy of Frampton Comes Alive, because maybe everyone needs a copy of that record, but I don't even, I remember the track "I'm in You," I think, but you know, it's one of those things where I've had for years and never really played, so create some space with that. Now, in the last video, I had gotten rid of Elton John's "Victim of Love," and surprise, surprise, this is a second copy. Maybe they were giving them away, of Elton John's "Victim of Love." I didn't pay for either of them, and yet they both came to me. This one has a punch out. The last one had a little cut for a remainder. What a wacky record. I mean, this is in perfect condition because no one ever looked at it, I guess. Yeah, so there's no reason to keep that. There's two copies of that. And then I did mention that I had a bunch of 80s Elton John that I got rid of, and I named off a few, but obviously I didn't get rid of them all, or I had duplicates, or I missed some. So first, from 1978, "A Single Man." And I think this is the record where he parted ways with Bernie Taupin. It's kind of a nice car, though. I don't remember any of these tracks, to be honest. So he's written with Gary Osborne, and I think Gary Osborne is on most of these tracks. Elton John and Gary Osborne. Yeah, I think they're all Elton John and Gary Osborne. But I don't even remember any of these songs. So I don't think I've ever listened to it. Now, this is the second copy of this one I had. I had one many years ago. My dad somehow ended up with a box of records and said I could take whatever I wanted. I grabbed this one, and I didn't keep it. I grabbed a Debbie Harry record. Some other things that I ended up not keeping any of them except for the Debbie Harry record. And so here's some 80s ones, which I thought I got rid of, but I guess I didn't. So Breaking Hearts from 84. That's my phone. This has Who Wears These Shoes? Sad Songs Say So Much. There's Bernie. So I guess they sort of reunited for this record, because I don't know if he wrote this all the lyrics or not. All songs written by Elton John and Bernie Taupin. So I guess they got back together for this particular record, which is mediocre, top 40, kind of boring, uninspired Elton John. I did mention this record is one I got rid of, so maybe I had two copies, but it's The Fox. And when did this come out? 81. And I'm looking at the title of the tracks here, and I don't know any of these tracks. Fascist Faces, Nobody Wins, Just Like Belgium, Heart in the Right Place, Breaking Down Barriers. I don't remember any of those songs. Elton's song, produced by Elton. And so these are written by different people. So we have Elton and Bernie on a few tracks. Elton and Tim Robinson, someone I really like. Gary Osborne again. Yeah, so it's in good shape, but I don't think I've ever listened to that. And perhaps the only 80s song from Elton John that I like is on this record, and that is a song called Empty Garden, Hey Hey Johnny, which is a really heartfelt and moving tribute to John Lennon, which I think is really powerful. But if you ask me to if what I knew about the rest of the songs, I have no idea. That's the only song I know in here. Look what he's wearing too. But that is a really excellent song. Written by Bernie and Elton. And then Gary Osborne's back again, and Bernie. And most of these are Bernie, Gary Osborne, Tim Rice. Interesting. So I don't think I know the rest of the songs apart from that one. But I don't see a need to keep that. Maybe a used record store would take it, or a record store. This is something I know I got at a thrift shop, thinking I would check it out, but I never did. It's the Doobie Brothers Toulouse Street. I don't think I can show you the gatefold sleeve because there is some exposed breasts. But Listen to the Music is on here. What else? Jesus Is Just All Right. I've never really a big Doobie Brothers fan. So again, from a thrift shop, I got this record, The Farewell Tour. And then I realized, why did I even bother getting it? Sometimes you see a record that's sort of so-so and it's $2 or $1, so you kind of buy it. But this has, I guess was it really their farewell tour? Did they come back? Jesus is Just All Right, taking it to the streets. Minute by minute, listen to the music. What a Fool Believes, Blackwater, China Grove. Some other songs I don't recognize. And I think it's in fine shape. I've never listened to it. Here is a band called Mastercraft. It's essentially the word Mastercraft without the vowels in it. This is from 2006, I think. And it's a 12-inch single for Street Justice. The flip side is a remix of Street Justice, which is a fine sort of high energy. Is it techno? Is it dance? I don't know. I don't know where this came from. And I might have listened to it once, and I don't see myself listening to it again. This is a duplicate of Cheap Tricks at Budokan. Cheap Trick at Budokan. I have a copy that's pretty much identical to this in terms of which condition it's in. This has the booklet, with the lyrics and whatnot. And this is the first Cheap Trick record I heard, and the first Cheap Trick record I own is just a duplicate, which is probably worth a couple bucks if I can get rid of it. Despite having mad love for 12-inch singles, there are some that maybe are less appealing than others. So Spandau Ballet, She Loved Like Diamond. The first Spandau Ballet song I ever heard was Chant Number 1, which I think is fantastic. And then I hated True. I went to a wedding where that was the first song, and I just didn't love it. So this says She Loved Like Diamond and then an instrumental version. I think this is non-essential if you consider Spandau Ballet to be essential at all. Sad Cafe, called Misplaced Ideals. And this features Paul Young, but the different Paul Young, which I think everyone who mentions Sad Cafe has to mention the fact that it's not that Paul Young, it's the other Paul Young. This is from 1978, and this is I think they're from England, kind of like just a straight-ahead rock band. And I did listen to side one of this before as I was going through records, and I didn't see any need to keep it. It's fine. I mean, it's competent. What can I say? This didn't work for me. There is, I think they wrote all these songs, did they not? So I don't know. Who knows what's going on here? Anyway, so that's that. And then a band from, I believe they're from Montreal, called The Blushing Brides. This is called Unveiled, with the sort of wedding theme. This band made their mark as and maybe you know this if you know the Blushing Brides, as a Rolling Stones tribute act. So they would tour around playing pretty authentic covers of Rolling Stones tracks, and they were actually really good at it. The lead singer sounds like Mick Jagger, and they sort of got the sound down quite right. And then I guess I eventually decided to record original material. I don't know how many records they did. This may be their first, from 1982. And if you listen to this, the first thing you'll think of is, oh my God, it sounds like the Rolling Stones, because it actually really, really does sound like the Rolling Stones. But I don't see any reason to keep this. I've listened to it once or twice the entire time I've had it, and they were kind of popular back in the day. They played frequently around, but I never saw them. Ronnie Hawkins, A Legend in His Spare Time. This is from the 80s, 81. There's the track listing. All of these are cover versions, so he didn't write any of these. And I would say that Stuck in Lodi is actually a pretty good cover version. I think he did a good job on that. The rest of the songs, like Traveling Band by John Fogerty, we have a Roy Orbison song, we have Chuck Berry, Havana Moon from Chuck Berry, Down the Line from Roy Orbison, and other things. Only the Lucky, Walter Egan, Brown-Eyed Handsome Man by Chuck Berry, a Willie Dixon track. I mean, they're okay, but it's one of those things where you're listening to it and you think, oh, I'd rather just hear the original, although these are fine. It looks in good shape, though. The jacket's a bit worn, but it should be fine. Three Dog Night. Never really was a Three Dog Night fan. I never really liked the song Joy to the World. I think this might be their first record. It starts out with one. There's no date on this record, so I don't even know when this came out. No date. Do you find it weird that they don't put a date on it? Orange labels. There's some writing on here. I don't know why. There's an HW. There's a Neil Young song on here, The Loner. They cover Tim Hardin song, Randy Newman, Johnny Watson, Nilsson, Stevie Winwood. I found it a little underwhelming, and I don't think I'll ever listen to it again. Which is the same thing I'll say about this record, Cyan from Three Dog Night, which of course starts with Shambhala. That may be the song of theirs I know best. Play Children Play. Yeah, a little unimpressed with this. It has someone's name on it, Bev, somebody. But there we have Three Dog Night. I always think of that as music for older people. Like my sister liked it. So speaking of music for older people, the debut record from Peter, Paul and Mary from 1962. And I guess the track that was big on here is If I Had a Hammer. And they include this brief essay. You hold their first album. You hold a bouquet of songs still fresh as earth and strong with the perfume of sincerity. Talks about these dynamic youngsters have been together for almost a year now. Each day seems to bring new definition to the word together. It's in good shape. There's a plastic inner sleeve, and it's in really good shape for the age of it. I just never really got into them, which is why this one is also in the box. In the Wind by Peter, Paul and Mary, still in shrink wrap, oddly. And again, I think the record here is in... The other one's in a little bit better shape, but this one's not bad. And I guess if you were to say the two tracks on here that you might know, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, the Bob Dylan song, and also Blowin' in the Wind from Bob Dylan. And I did listen to those tracks before I put it in the box here, but listening to them, I felt like, I'd rather hear Bob sing them. But I don't know. A Vitaphonic High Fidelity. There's no date on this one, I don't think. Unless there's one inside. No, I don't think there's a date on here. So, yeah, just not really something that I really love. Steve Miller Band, Circle of Love, from 82, I think. 81. This is, of course, famous because of the fact that side 2 is one track, Macho City. First time I saw this record, I thought it said Nacho City years ago, but Heart Like a Wheel is a song that got some airplay. Get On Home, Baby Wanna Dance, Circle of Love. But Macho City is this weird 18-minute and 30-second track. This is in okay shape. It got a hole punch. I guess it was remaindered. The inner sleeve's a bit trashed. But it's, I still have some other Steve Miller records, which I know not everyone loves, but they do remind me of my sister, because she had some as well. So I'll get rid of that one first and see what happens. Jaluka, Stand Your Ground, South African band led by Johnny Clegg, who later or earlier had a band called Johnny Clegg and Savuka. And this is pretty much mint. This came out in 84. I bought it in a used record shop probably in 86, maybe 87, maybe 88, somewhere around there. But listened to it once, and it's a fine record. It really sounds good, but that's the only time I've ever played it. So I guess it didn't really grab me. So move that along. And then a notorious record from my collection, which I have mentioned in 2 separate videos, is this Jens Lekman record, I Know What Love Isn't. And if you don't want to go back, I'll just tell you briefly, I bought a copy of this, which is on colored vinyl, and there's heavy distortion through most of the record. And it's not dirt or anything, it's actually in the record. And I checked Discogs, people reported the same thing. So I got a second copy because the record company sent me another one. This is a black vinyl copy, and it sounds the same. So it's something in the mastering. I do like the jacket, though, because it's got this die cut, and then you can adjust it to whatever image you want there. There's 3 or 4 to choose from. And so I don't really know what to do with this. And I still have the other one. I should get rid of both probably. But obviously I can't sell it at a store because it's a mess. And even at a thrift shop, someone's going to buy this and be really disappointed. So, and neither of them came with a download card. So I don't have a download. I don't think so. I will check, of course. But it's something I don't know what to do with. This obviously belonged to a record station, I guess, CSCR. Pop Will Eat Itself, Dance of the Mad. I do love Pop Will Eat Itself. This is a little rough around the edges and it has writing all over it, but it has, what's on here? Dance of the Mad, Feet on Head Mix, Dance of the Mad, I guess the regular edit, and then we have Preaching to the Perverted remix, and then Touched by the Hand of Chicolina or something like that. Again, with writing all over it. So it's just a bit rough, and although I do like the band, I have some CDs from them. I just decided to move this one along. Here's a record that I actually think is amazing. I love it. It's B-52's Wild Planet, and I do have a copy that's pretty much identical in terms of sound. However, this one is a duplicate that has some tape on it. I guess someone maybe taped their collection to identify things. Maybe it's from a radio station. Maybe it's from someone's house. Someone tried to take it off here and sort of was partly successful, but it's still on the front. Yeah, this one from 1980. It's actually not a common record in Toronto. I look in the B-52 sections all the time, and I never, ever see this record. So it probably has some trade-in value, or I could make a deal with someone. The only problem is this tape, but I do have a much better copy. This record dates to a time when I was pretty much infatuated with everything that Bruce Springsteen had a connection with, and Clarence Clemons, of course, was a member of his band. This is Hero from 1985. So after the Born in the USA juggernaut, this album's best known for the song "You're a Friend of Mine," the duet he did with Jackson Browne. I don't know if Springsteen participated in any way in this record in terms of writing or producing. I don't think so. I could be wrong. But it has a strong Springsteen connection. At the time, I was, pretty much interested in anything related to Springsteen. But I played this once, and I was like, yeah, that song is okay with Jackson Browne, but the whole thing didn't really speak to me. This will maybe irritate a few people, but Chicago. This is Chicago 11, I think. 11 from 1977. I guess I'm not really a Chicago fan. I can't remember what's on here. So Mississippi Delta City Blues, Baby What a Big Surprise. That was a big hit. It's a bit top 40-ish for me. I think I like the earlier Chicago. So, I don't know if I've ever listened to this record. I acquired it and maybe I didn't. I know I have listened to this one, Chicago's Greatest Hits. And this predates that record. This is from 75, I think. And this has, Just You and Me, Saturday in the Park, 25 or 6 to 4, etc. I think you might recognize some of those tracks. And as I say, I'm just probably not a Chicago fan. I think some of their songs are okay. But, yeah, I guess I'll move that along. Another 12-inch single. And I do love 12-inch singles, but for some reason I'm getting rid of this one, In Excess What You Need. It doesn't have an inner sleeve, and I think partly because of that it's dirty, and there are some scratches. This is probably VG minus or maybe VG. It has a stamp on it that says someone's name, Caroline something Pro DJ, 120 BPM written on it. So it has What You Need, 2 versions. One's a remix, and then on side 2 it has the 12-inch version of Melting in the Sun and the 12-inch version of Burn For You. It probably will play with a bit of noise. I'm sure someone might want that. Jean-Luc Ponty, Mystical Adventures. My sister had one of his records, and I kind of thought I might like him. He's a kind of a jazz violinist, and he's appeared on other records that I do like, but this one is a bit, I don't know. Yeah, I can sort of get the jazz part, but part of it sounded new agey to me, but I don't know if that's actually right. And I haven't listened to this in a long time, but I will move that along. Here's an oddball record. Nothing on the back. On the front is this 8.5 by 11 pasted on sheet of paper. So this is Robert Palmer's, Maybe It's Live record, but this is I have the real version of Maybe It's Live over there, but this is what does it say? It's from Editorial Services, February 24th, 1982. So the release date is shown as April 14th, 1982. So this is a couple months before. The job numbers on here, restrictions, USA and Canada only, 12-inch black ink. And then the list of the songs, including one that was corrected by Penn. It was a typo, spelling mistake. Maybe It's Live, produced and arranged by Robert Palmer for Certain Sir Productions. Copyrights are listed. Art department use only. Price code M5. And interestingly, the actual label is this white. I don't think it classifies as a white label promo, but it says Warner Brothers, available only to technical and other authorized personnel for the limited purposes of testing and review, not to be publicly performed, reproduced, sold, or otherwise distributed. I suppose before I actually get rid of this, I should see if it sounds any different from the other one. But it's a pretty wacky thing. I've never seen a record quite like that. So interesting. This is a duplicate of a really good record, Rant and Rave with the Stray Cats. It's in good shape. From 83, of course, Sexy and 17's on here. Rebels Rule. Yeah, good. It's a good record. I just happen to have 2 copies. Another duplicate of Sinead O'Connor's The Lion and the Cobra, her first record from 87. This is a good record. I have the CD and a vinyl copy of this. And this is I would say, probably VG+. There's a bit of what looks to be some cloudy marks, which looks like water has dried there, maybe slightly, very limited, but it plays. I put it on, and a slight crackle, but it's actually quite good. Okay, here is a weird label promo record from Chrysalis for promo only, and it has this writing on it, which I guess is $1. And it's a really wacky, which is side 1, it's hard to tell. Here's what's on here. Electric Blue by Lighthouse. Mark Anthony's tune by Tika Nelson. Charlton Heston doing by Stump. It's a Mighty Lemon Drops song, Fall Down Like the Rain. We have a Paul Carrack track. 2 Vinnie Vincent songs, Ashes to Ashes and Star Spangled Banner, which just seems weird to me because you have Mighty Lemon Drops, Paul Carrack, Ice House, and then you have Vinnie Vincent. It seems interesting. Side 2 has Always Something There to Remind Me by the House Martins. Divinals, Back to the Wall, a band called The Bible, Dweezil Zappa, Alyssa Fioriola, The Venetians, and Sinead O'Connor. I Want Your Hands on Me. I don't know where I got this. It's actually in fine shape. I guess I'm not really interested in keeping it. And here's a strange, well, I don't know if it's strange. It's a 180 gram vinyl from a band called No, and the record's called El Prado. It's one of those weird things where it's hard to know what is up and what is down because they're upside down, but this is upside down, but the writing is the right way. So this is a band from, I think it's from New Zealand. And I was in a record store once and I was looking at this, and it's on the Arts and Crafts label, which for me is a plus. If it's Arts and Crafts in Canada, I'm probably going to like it. However, when I looked them up, it said they were similar to the National, which kind of piqued my curiosity. So it was remaindered, or I guess discounted to around, I think $6. So I took a chance on it, but I don't think it's actually very good. Someone who knows this band will be angry with me for saying that. But first of all, why would you call yourself No? Especially in the internet era. Like, I could see Yes did it. But if you type Yes in the internet, on the Google search or whatever search you use, you're going to get the band. If you type No, you're not going to get this band. Maybe because they're not well known. No band or whatever. Type the album name in. But their Twitter feed was @No. Their YouTube channel was like youtube.com/No. But their website is NoLosAngeles.com, I guess, because No was taken. From 2014, it's a double album. There is a download code in here, but I might have used it in my belief that I would like it. But it didn't really appeal to me, and I haven't checked the value of this. Maybe I could take it up to, there's a used record store, or a record store close to me. So some of these will go to the thrift shop. Some of these will go to possibly the record store, but some of them I don't think anyone will want, so we'll see how that goes. But thanks for enduring a almost 30-minute video, which is a first for me. I don't think I've made a video, apart from a live stream, that is that long. But this will be the last of the, for now, this will be the last of the Purge videos, because I've managed to fit everything, take everything off the floor, almost everything off the floor, into the shelf. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.